Hi, welcome to The Upside. I'm your host, Paul Santinello. We talk about the good things going on in Long Meadow and around us. Today, I'm very happy to introduce my next guest, Teresa Liberti, who's the Executive Director of the Gray House. And it's actually gray.
It is. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, it's an old gray Victorian house. It was actually built in the 1870s, and somehow it is still standing.
Still gray.
Yep. But the first floor of our house is where all of the magic happens, all of our programming. And we were founded by a group of Sisters of St. Joseph, and several of the sisters throughout the years inhabited the second and third floors up until recently. So we're looking at that space and figuring out what to do with the rest of the gray Victorian house.
So let's talk about because this is one of the things I think around us that does, an organization that does really good for people that you may have heard of or you may not have heard of. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what's the Gray House, what's the mission statement, who do you help, and why it's there?
Sure. So we are there to serve low-income individuals and families. We do that through three main programs focusing on education, food insecurity, and youth. We have our adult education program, which really focuses on migrants and refugees, teaching them English language skills, which will help them get jobs, be more financially stable, and just have that self-sufficiency through the English language skills. We also have our Kids Club after school and summer program, which is specifically for the children in the north end of Springfield. And we really focus on building a love of learning and developing some of those foundational skills to help them succeed in the future. And then our food assistance program, which we've recently been spending a lot of time on, it was always referred to as our food pantry. Back in September, we rebranded it to be called the Market at Gray House. And so all of that was really part of an effort to better serve the working poor in our community. And we wanted to be able to offer food to people who are working during the day, because we would have a lot of people who would come rush in on their lunch breaks or try to get in before or after work, and it just didn't work with their schedule, but there was still a really great need to be able to put food on the table for their family. And so we started offering evening hours twice a month for them, and we also wanted to rebrand and create a new name, so we came up with the Market at Gray House. And part of that, just being able to offer people who come through the doors more choice and what they're more of a shopping experience, so that they can feel more comfortable with receiving that assistance.
So on an average day, today's a Wednesday, what's the average day in the Gray House? You open your doors at what time?
So we get in at 8:30,
okay.
And students from our adult education program will start coming in around 9 a.m. They'll sit down for classes, and classes will go all from...
What kind of classes?
So we have teaching English, we have a lead teacher, and then we have several volunteers who will work one-on-one with the students. And we do have a really great curriculum that we work with on the students to ensure that they're progressing and learning. But the volunteers will also be able to help them one-on-one if they're not understanding a particular topic, so that they don't get lost in the class. But it is a really small class. We only have about 5 or 6 students in each class. So a lot of these individuals have never gone to school in their home countries. So not only are they learning English, but they're really learning how to learn for the first time. And so having it in a comfortable setting in the Gray House, which has a homey feel to it, is really important and makes people feel more comfortable and able to learn better.
All right, so they come in 8:30, 9 o'clock, classes are going on. What else happens during the day at the Gray House?
So at the same time that is going on, in the back of the house where we have our market, there are volunteers preparing for distribution, which is on every Thursday from 9 to noon, and then the second and fourth Fridays of the month from 4 to 6 p.m. But even when distribution is not going on, there's a ton of prep that needs to happen. We get orders from the food bank, and we have volunteers who show up from Sunshine Village every Wednesday morning to help unload that and get everything on the shelves. We have other volunteers who come to pre-bag items and just keep everything nice and neat and organized.
Okay.
And then while all of that is going on, the adult education classes continue, and then in the evenings, everything transitions and the kids take over the building.
Okay.
So we have about 18 children in the program now. They're in 2nd through 5th grade, and they'll come in at 3:45. Parents will drop them off. And they'll come in, they'll sit down, they'll all have a healthy snack together. We'll go through and ask each one of them how their day was. And then we'll talk about the word of the week. So that is usually a character value, something like independence or leadership, talking about what those words mean to the children and how they can apply it in their day. And then after that, we'll break into homework groups. And the kids will all start their homework time by reading. And then they'll go on to whatever homework their teacher has assigned them. And we do have a few staff members to help with that, but then we also really rely on volunteers that we get from the community. We have some high school students, college students, parents who will come in and volunteer their time to make sure the kids are getting that one-on-one attention.
Yeah.
The kids all come from really fantastic families. Not all of the parents speak English well, so homework time is a struggle, and they really rely on us to help the kids. I mean, I have a hard enough time helping with 5th grade math. Word problems, and I speak English pretty well, so I can't imagine what it would be like if you didn't understand the language. And so that's where our volunteers really help out and make sure that the kids are understanding, and also as a support to the teachers, connecting with the teachers and finding out what's going on in the classroom so that we can better support them.
So and what time do you close? At what time is the Great House shut down?
So after homework time, they'll do an activity together, and then parents come to pick up at 5:30.
Okay.
Yes.
And then your day's
that's-
done?
Yes.
So, not really, but your
Yeah.
day's done. The doors are closed, but your day's not
Yes.
done. So when you look at, so you have different facets. You have adult education, you have kids coming after school. Is there limits as to how many people you can have in there because of size? Is it more constrained with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So our youth program is actually licensed by the Department of Early Education and Childcare, and so they set a limit on our program of 20 children.
Okay.
And that is because of the size of the space that we have. Adult education, we very intentionally set small class sizes because of the individuals that we're serving and the environment that we want to create. But really where we're able to have the quantity of the greatest number of people that we're serving is in our market. And we see about 460 households in a month. Every
Unique
month.
households?
Yes, unique households in a month.
Okay.
Yes.
So with the food bank, is it just one day a week they come in to do this, or is it open every day for people to come in and get food, or how do you do that?
So we're only open for distributions on Thursdays from 9 to noon.
Okay.
And then also on the 2nd and 4th Fridays of the month from 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
But if a lot of times we'll get calls from caseworkers who will say, we have a client came in, they just got custody of their children and don't have enough food in the house when they come to do the visit to make sure that the space is safe and suitable for the kids. And so we're able to help them out in emergency situations, of course.
So when and we were just having a little discussion beforehand. I mean, there's a lot of services out there for people. But these are services that are, well, the food service, for example, is something that I'm assuming, and I'll have you explain it, is based on necessity, but it's not like they're shopping and getting, filet mignon in your store. I mean, right? I mean, these are the basic goods that they need during a day to live on, basic
Yes.
foods, I should say.
Yes.
Right, so this is no high-end stuff. It's not, I mean, it's a market, but it's not a market. I mean, you're supplementing perhaps what they are able to afford themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And so definitely what we get from the food bank are the necessities, but they've also really been pushing, and we're really happy to see this, the importance of fresh produce, meats, dairy, all of that stuff we're making sure that we get out to people.
Okay.
And through donations that we get from individuals, every once in a while, we are able to have some of those more high-end items. We have Grayson Sweet, one of our good friends. She is a Girl Scout, and for several years, she would ask people to donate boxes of Girl Scout cookies, and then she would bring them to the Gray House. So we would have a shelf full of Girl Scout cookies, and so anyone who came that day for distribution would get to pick one box
Yep.
in addition to their
Okay.
items. So we love to be able to offer stuff like that, but it's certainly not something that we do on a regular basis
Yeah.
or are able to, we would never pay for that.
There's only goodness in Girl Scout
Yes.
cookies. There's no bad things in there. Yeah, I don't care. And I'm not a Thin Mint fan, but they go well in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the Gray House located? Because that's an important thing too.
Yeah, so we're in the north end of Springfield, right off of Main Street. And it is one of the poorest zip codes in the entire Commonwealth. I love the neighborhood. It is a really special place. I think everyone really knows who we are and respects the space. We were just having some conversations about kind of what it looked like when they first started the Gray House, which was actually 35 years. This is our 35th anniversary this year. And back then it looked much different. It was an extremely, extremely dangerous neighborhood, a lot of gang violence, drug use, and just out in the open. And the Sisters of St. Joseph, who founded our organization, really wanted to create a safe place for people to come and receive services and break the cycle of poverty. So when they purchased the house, it had been this tax delinquent, abandoned house that had just had a fire. It was a complete disaster. And so they got in there and with the help of hundreds of volunteers really made it into what it is today. And it's pretty incredible to see. And we love when people, donors and volunteers come by for the first time and we're able to give them a tour and really show them what the space has transformed into. And I think by walking in the door, you really get the sense that you're welcome and you belong there. And that's the same sense that people who are coming in looking for services are feeling. And I think that's one of the most important parts, because having all of the services that we offer are extremely important, but just having someone, when you first walk into the door, greet you and make you feel like you matter is one of the most important things and when we're helping these individuals.
Well, very nice. And I know as a graduate of a Catholic school, Mount Carmel, that you don't mess with nuns, and when they're determined, they're determined.
Yes.
But this was started by 4 sisters, 4 nuns, right?
It was actually 5 sisters and 1 lay person. Who founded the organization, and we just recognized them at our 28th annual spaghetti supper.
They're still around. All of them still around.
One sister Eileen passed away in 2011.
So that's pretty cool that they're still around, and for something they started.
Yes.
You're neighborhood centric, correct? I mean, it's not a citywide agency. Definitely more for the residents of that area.
That's how we started,
Yep.
But it has definitely expanded. Our only program that is specific to the North End is our Kids Club after school and summer program, only because of how few spaces we have to limit it somehow. But the market, we see people from throughout Springfield, West Springfield, Holyoke. We have people come from Munson, some of the more rural areas that aren't able to access food in their own towns.
Okay.
So that is not specific to to the North End or Springfield.
Okay, so you're really a bit much bigger. That
Yes.
surprises me because I would think that it would be more neighborhood with it.
The need is so great,
Right.
and even though there are a lot of other organizations providing food, and we do work closely with all of them, a lot of them are members of the food bank. For example, Open Pantry is right down the road from us, and they're doing incredible work serving people and getting food out. And we try to communicate with them so they're open on some of the days that we're not open,
Yep.
making sure that people can access food at any time,
Yep.
and not just when we're open.
Okay, so you probably started there when you're like 6 years old because it's been there so long. But what drove you to the Gray House? What brought you there?
So it's been about 10 years since I've been involved in the Gray House, and I actually am not from this area. I'm from New York, and I came here to go to Western New England.
Okay.
And my first experience with Springfield was an extremely positive one because I participated in a program at Western New England called Bear Tracks. And there were about 15 of us first-year students who moved onto campus a week early. And we went out into the community and learned about some of the challenges that Springfield had, which every city has, but also got to see all of the incredible organizations that are working to help individuals and families and the community. And I was very drawn to that and just wanted to be a part of that. And I really made it my personal mission throughout college to get as many students off of the beautiful Western New England campus and into the community doing work. And one of the places that I went to build a relationship was the Gray House, and I fell in love with it. So as soon as I walked in the door, I knew I wanted to volunteer there as well. So I would bring students with me to volunteer, and probably a few months in, a position opened up, and we were volunteering in the kids program, the kids after school program. A position opened up for a counselor. And I applied for that and got the position. So I was working there as a counselor throughout probably my sophomore, junior, and senior year of college. And I also, through my my role on the college campus, I was able to apply for grants from Western New England and put on different activities for the Gray House. So we would go on field trips to McCrae's farm, and we went pumpkin picking and to the petting zoo that they had there. And none of the kids had ever been pumpkin picking before, which was really fun to see. But we actually brought them all to Western New England, and they kind of got a sampling of everything that goes on in campus. So you had a studio similar to this, and the kids got to come on and pretend to be news anchors, and the dance team taught them a choreography, and the football team taught them their exercises. So just an opportunity to get the kids interested in college. And so through that experience, I of course wanted to stay in touch with them after college. I continued to volunteer, and they actually asked me to join the board of directors. Really in 2015, I joined the board, and from there, Dina, our wonderful past executive director, when she resigned, I took on that role, and it's been incredible. So it'll be 3 years in July that I've been the executive director.
So there's a lot of energy just right there.
Yeah.
So with all the, there's a new casino obviously in Springfield. That's big. It's expanding and doing well from every aspect. How do you compete, not only with the casino, but there's better things that are happening in the city. The city seems to be, bringing in a little bit more revenue and so forth. Not related to casino, but has your need grown over the years? Or are you pretty stable in terms of what you offer, or the people that are coming in, or is it increasing in demand?
The need has grown.
Yeah.
So
and I don't want to make, that's nothing related to the casino. I just mean things are better in the city itself.
Absolutely.
There's more jobs and things, but the need is still increasing.
It is.
Yeah.
We have continued to increase the number of times that people can come, specifically for the food assistance program, increasing the number of times that they can visit us, because it just wasn't enough. They were still struggling so much. And with the kind of recent uncertainty with SNAP benefits early in the year, that caused a lot of anxiety, and people were really worried about that and didn't know where their food was going to be coming from. So we saw a lot more people who would normally be able to go to the grocery store and use their SNAP benefits coming to us just to get by. With our adult education program, we've definitely seen a kind of a transition there. We have a lot more individuals from Puerto Rico now in our programs since Hurricane Maria, and all of the evacuees who now call Springfield home, which we're so thrilled to have them here and want to be able to offer our services to them. So we do see a lot more individuals from Puerto Rico who are in that program as well.
Okay. So you must have a massive budget, because there's a lot that you're doing. How does the Gray House go about raising money for all these programs? Where does your money come from?
So part of my job is fundraising and
There
grants, and it is, it's an interesting thing to have to fundraise. I've worked for other organizations where there were contracts and fee for service, and we don't have any of that here. We really rely entirely on grants and donations, and so having a really
Are you more public or private grants, or both?
Most of our grants come from local businesses.
Really? So not public funding type of thing?
We do receive the city of Springfield through the Community Development Block Grant is very generous to us as well, and the Diocese of Springfield through the Catholic Appeal, but most everything else is through local businesses. And then just individual donors who are extremely generous to us, and we really appreciate them. A lot of our volunteers are also donors, which I think says a lot, because they're seeing the program, they're very much a part of the impact, and willing to support us financially as well as really valuable to us. But we do fundraisers. We just had our 28th annual Spaghetti Supper, which we raised about $21,000 from, which was exciting. A lot of pasta. And we also started back in 2015 our Fill the Plate initiative, which is to support the market. We do that every September, and we usually raise between $10,000 and $20,000, which is a huge amount of money for that program. And the whole concept behind the fundraiser is to get people to take photos with empty plates, and the empty plates represent all of the people that would go hungry without the support of the market, the food that we offer, and they post those photos on social media, encourage their friends to donate, and they make a donation as well. And then, we've added things on, try to get like the most creative contributor and encourage people to take funny photos with the plates. And it's really grown to be something that businesses look forward to getting involved with, and individuals, families. We have people take photos with their pets and everything. So it's fun. We've, trying to get on the social media and get everybody involved that way.
Now, do you have people coming back that have used the program and now working or helping with what you're doing?
Yes. We see most of those people around Thanksgiving. So in addition to our 3 main programs, we also do a few seasonal programs. We provide winter coats to individuals. We do a huge Christmas toy distribution, and then Thanksgiving we give out turkeys and all of the fixings to it was about 630 families this past year. And so that's probably the biggest time when we see people coming back. A few years ago I had a woman show up with a car full of boxes of potatoes that she had just gone to the store with her son and bought. And so I always ask people, how did you hear about the Gray House? And as I asked her that, she kind of held her son closer to her and started to tell me about how at one point when her son was younger, they had come to the Gray House for food, and it had just been a huge weight off of her shoulder to know that she didn't have to worry about where food was coming from that week.
Yeah.
And so that she could worry about everything else going on in their life. And so now they're doing well, and they just wanted to do a little something to give back. But we see that pretty frequently
That's
around
awesome.
Thanksgiving. People will come and give us food. And
So you gave out 630 Thanksgiving dinners.
yeah,
Wow.
that people can cook at home with their family
Yep.
and enjoy that time together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a lot of time left, or there we go. There's my cue. Just making sure. I love the people at LCTV. They're awesome for doing this. So,
Yes.
and I'm not saying it just because they operate the cameras. Sorry. So, what's one thing you want to? We have about 5 minutes left. So, what's one message you'd like to convey to people about the Gray House, and what, if they want to help out, where do they go and find out about that kind of thing?
Sure. So people can go to grayhouse.org, and we have lots of information on there about what's going on. You could also sign up for our email newsletter on there, which only get about one a month. I don't spam people, I promise.
Okay.
But it's a good way to find out what's going on, opportunities to get involved. We're always looking for volunteers.
For what kind of things?
So in our adult education
Okay.
program, working with the students, you don't need any teaching background. Our director of education, Aisha, has a really great training program that she puts on for individuals to help them get comfortable with that. In the after school program, helping kids with their homework and just being a positive role model for them is really important. The food assistance program, because it's a small space and we do have a lot of regular volunteers, there isn't always a need for more people back there, but that's probably what people are most interested in. So we try to get as many people in there as possible, but especially around the holidays, we're always looking for people to come and help out with Christmas. It's a really great opportunity for a college student to be able to pretty much coordinate the whole program remotely. It can be done. So there's always something.
Yeah.
And then we also have large groups that will come. We just had a group from Holy Cross College alumni came and did an incredible job with a yard cleanup, because that's one of the things that, some of the volunteer opportunities are directly working with people, and some are not.
Right.
And those ones that are not are really just as important, because like with the yard cleanup, the outside of our property is the first impression that people get, and we don't have the funds to pay someone to keep it, to maintain it.
Yep.
And so when volunteers can come in and make it beautiful, that really makes the people coming in feel much more comfortable and welcomed to the space.
Nice. Okay, so the Gray House, Gray House, Gray, Gray,
GRAY, yes.
house.org.
Yes.
And they can go there, see any opportunities that they
Yes.
might interest them and so
Yes.
forth.
And sorry, not the Gray House, it's just grayhouse.org.
Gray House, okay, that's what I make sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't screw that one up on you. There's nobody calling. Okay, so and how many people a year do you think are you touching with what you're doing?
Unique individuals, we serve about over 5,000
Wow,
each
from
year.
a little Gray House.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
pretty incredible to think about, especially it's myself and we have one other full-time employee and 6 part-time employees and about 100 regular volunteers who show up for us every
Yeah.
week to make that happen.
Don't lose that energy.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. So, folks, if you want to, we bring a lot of opportunities through the Upside. But if it's something that interests you, just go to the website, grayhouse.org. Take a look at what they do, and if it's some way you want to get involved, you can contact Teresa or just contact them through the website. When you have your pantry, do people donate food, or is it just the money to buy the food because you go through the food bank or something like that?
Yep. So we do have organizations and individuals donate food. We are really able to leverage the monetary donations that we receive through our relationship with the food bank. So monetary donations are really
go a
long
little
way.
further. But if
Yeah.
people want to donate, go shop and they buy something, they
Absolutely.
can bring it down there
Yes.
as well. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you for what you do, because I think it's really important in that community and in the city for what you do, and it's a great thing. I wish I knew about it before the spaghetti supper, because I would have had a couple of plates.
Well, there'll be one next year.
yeah, well,
it's always
they'll-
in March.
So thank you for watching The Upside. Thank you, Teresa, for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll see you on our next show. Have a great day.